1694. England and France are locked in a bloody war. War is expensive. It requires enormous amounts of money. England's gold reserves are depleted, and the resources needed to sustain the army are nearly exhausted. King William III had a problem. To continue the war, he needed money, but he had none. It was precisely at this moment that an idea emerged, one that would change the course of history. The king turned to London's merchants. He made them an offer. Lend me money now, and I will guarantee you regular interest payments from future tax revenues. This was a revolutionary agreement. For the first time, a state gained the right to spend money it did not yet possess. In return, lenders were given a promise, a government promise that could be traded, bought and sold. That promise, bonds, turned government debt into a product for the first time in history. And to manage this new system, the Bank of England was founded. The foundation of modern finance as we know it was born in a moment of crisis. Today, the world we live in is shaped by an invisible force. This force is not technology, not energy resources, and not military power. This force is debt. National debt, personal debt, corporate debt. Debt is not merely a burden. It is the invisible skeleton that forms the architecture of the modern world. All states, corporations, and even individuals, whether they realize it or not, are part of this system. So how were the foundations of this massive structure laid? And why is the world today swimming in over $315 trillion of debt? The answer lies centuries in the past, in a revolutionary idea born in the shadow of war. The new financial engineering developed by England quickly spread across Europe. France adopted the system. The Netherlands, driven by its trading power, refined it even further. And across the Atlantic, the newly formed United States used the same method to finance its war of independence. The young nation used bonds not only to sustain its revolution, but also to carry out its plans for westward expansion. In the past, debt was seen as a sign of weakness for a state, a signal that its resources were insufficient. But now debt became a symbol of power and credibility. States began to be evaluated by their ability to borrow. Today, debt is no longer just a financial instrument. From how wars are fought to how cities are built, from economic booms to financial crises, everything is built upon this invisible skeleton. A country builds infrastructure, it borrows. A company invests, it borrows. An individual buys a home, takes out a loan. Debt is the engine of the modern world. But if you trace the chain backward, you encounter a surprising truth. The world is not actually in debt to anyone. It is in debt to itself. The borrower and the lender both exist within the same system. Citizens owe banks. Banks owe governments. Governments owe other investors. A massive circle. But this does not mean everyone benefits equally. For some, this system brings power and wealth. For others, it becomes a source of burden and pressure. Now we can move to the critical question. Who is holding the other end of this debt? Take the United States as an example. America has approximately $38 trillion in debt. About half of this is owed to investors. The other half is owed to the government's own internal entities, pension funds, insurance companies, banks, and the Federal Reserve. Approximately 66% of the investors are American institutions, pension funds, banks, investment funds, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. The remaining roughly $9 trillion is held by foreign governments, international corporations, and global investors. So America's debt is not just America's problem, it has become a shared global interest. The same is true for Japan, China, European countries, and emerging economies. Debt is no longer national, it is a global network. So can the system collapse? Can the world exist without debt? In reality, because debt has become the fuel of modern economies, a completely debt-free system does not seem possible at this moment. However, in countries trapped in excessive debt, this system carries the risk of increasing inequality. For some nations, debt becomes a tool for development. For others, it turns into decades-long economic burdens. Still, when managed correctly, debt is not a burden, but a lever. The real issue is not the existence of debt, but who borrows, who lends, and who benefits from this relationship.